Hola! Welcome to the second episode of Olivia's Yarn Stories, a little vlogcast about my knitting, crocheting, and a little bit of public library talk interspersed in between. Thank you for taking a little bit of time to spend with me this afternoon or this evening or this morning or whenever time it is that you managed to catch this episode. It is my second episode, and as for some of you who may have already seen my first episode, you'll know that, hey, I got the courage and I hit public. I sat on the video for over a week. I had it private and finally got the courage to show it to my husband and my sons, and they gave me the thumbs up. And in the morning of February 14th, I decided I'm just gonna make it public and let's see what happens. And then posted it on my stories, and with my supportive friends, I'm very fortunate to have a small circle of knitting friends. And once they saw it on my stories, they were quick to act on it and started to watch and sharing it on their Instagram feed. And by the end of the day, I had 10 subscribers, and I thought, yay, I've surpassed my goal of 3. And yeah, it just, and within a week, I want to say I'm recording now towards the end of February, and I was over 100 subscribers, which blew me away because, there's so many podcasts out there. Who wants to listen to one more? But anyway, enough about that. But in watching back, I realized that since I wasn't sure I was going to upload it, there was a lot that I didn't do in terms of admin work. So let me do that here, which is I did put all the links to everything I talked about in the podcast in the show notes. So in the more button below, as everybody says, click on the more button. And so everything is there that I talked about, including some of the podcasts that were inspirations to me. I have both English podcasts, and I've got the Portuguese podcast. So take a look at that list, see if there's somebody there that might interest you. And, or probably you're all watching some of the same ones I'm watching, but for those of you who have some interest in Portuguese podcasts, go give them a look. And I just want to say thank you. Thank you to, to those of you who have sent me messages. The librarians, yay! There's a few of us out there, librarian knitters. Yeah, I was so excited to hear from those of you who took the time to leave me a comment. Thank you. I know it's easier to give it a like. In subscribing, I really appreciate that. But the addition of actually sending me a message was a real empowering moment for me. And I am just very thankful to those of you who took the time to do that, because I know time for most of us is a limited supply, right? And so anyway, and then I also want to give a big shout out to my new Portuguese friends who have found me, and obrigada. O apoio é incrível. And I'll say it in English here because most of my Portuguese watchers also are English speakers. But at the end of this episode, I recorded, I'm going to be putting a little mini-sode of me talking in Portuguese and a little bit of my life story and why I decided to do this. But I'm going to leave it towards the end. And so if you're interested, you can go and listen to me speak in Portuguese at the end there. So anyway, like I said, add many things. So linked below, podcasts, all the projects I talked about. Today I'm going to talk about a couple of things that I have finished, a couple of things that I sort of finished, made a mistake on, and a few other things that, have happened in the last couple of weeks since I last recorded. And let me start by saying, recording last week, the recording I did last time, I got so brave, and I'm actually more nervous now than I was that time. And I don't know if it's because, when you do one, you don't know if it's going to work. And then by the second one, you hope it's going to come out decent, right? So let's see how this goes. But I should start by saying that Gary is taking a nap. He's my 3-year-old rescue, Gary. Should have said that. For those of you who didn't see the first episode, I live in the south coast of Massachusetts with my husband and 2 adult sons, and my rescue cat, Gary, And the shelter told us he was 3, and he acts like a 3-year-old toddler. And during the last podcast, he was all over the place. I was able to edit out quite a bit of what he was doing, but he was just looking for my attention. I did record a little bit. I did put the video on pause last time, and I did go and record what he was doing while I was doing the recording, so I could show my husband just how difficult it was for me to sit down. Even though I was home by myself, you know, it's like I had a toddler in the house. And so I'll put that video in here so you all can see what he was up to, and the little damage that he did to one of my leather chairs, which, oh, he's lucky he's so cute. But anyway, I made sure I kept him busy this morning. I did find myself in the house alone again this morning because the boys decided to go golfing. So I thought, well, all right, let me keep it busy. He's napping. Here I am, crazy cat lady, cat sleeping, and that's when I'm going to take the opportunity to talk to you. So let's talk about what I am wearing. So I am wearing the Outstranding shawl, which is something that I knit last year, in January of last year. I knit this as part of a make-along. I participated in the make-along hosted by Cocktail Hour at the Coop, where they have every winter, they have a new to you mal, an item, you know, working on something that was new to you. And I'd never done color work, stranded color work, and I thought I'd give it a try with this one because I had these colorful minis that I wasn't sure what to use them for. And I do tend to make a lot of shawls, and like as I said with last episode, all of my projects are on Ravelry. I have an extensive amount of projects on Ravelry because I've been doing things and posting them on Ravelry since 2008, I believe. So anyway, so I did this. It's the Outstranding shawl, and again, I'll put all the links below. And being my first project with color work, it ended up being a so it's, you know, it's a shawl, a V shawl, and I have close to me here. I should show you where I've kept my minis. I did mention to all of you that I am claiming over a glassware cabinet, and I'm slowly decorating it with my yarn. And in here is the minis that I used for this. So this green, this yellow or mustard, this terracotta color, and I think those are the colors. Oh, am I missing one? Yeah, one has made its way into another bowl, I'm assuming. So anyway, so it was a set of minis that I had with this gray yarn, and I thought these colors would really work out well with the gray, which they have. Put it back in the cabinet. So anyway, this ended up being the winner. It was the first time I had won anything. So I won for having a project where I figured out how to do the color work, the stranded color work, because it was a shawl, so it was going in the back and forth instead of in the round. And I did it Portuguese style, because at the time I was trying to teach myself how to knit Portuguese style with the yarn around my neck. And so I had the gray in one hand and I had the color in the other hand, or vice versa. I'm not sure now, but I do have a video of me doing it, and I will post that. And I might put it so that it'll be the video at some point. So anyway, I bought, I won, so I won the prize, and I won a skein of their beautiful yarn. They own, or their parents own a farm, an alpaca farm, and they have this most luxurious yarn from their alpacas, which is, I still have it a year later because I have this immense amount of yarn in the house, and it's also pretty. I don't want to take it out of the skein and work on it, and I just want to touch it every once in a while and just feel it. So this was from their farm. It was from the alpacas Maggie and Blue, and it's a 3-ply worsted 200 yarns, and I am going to make a hat with it one of these days. I'll sit down and make a hat. And so I won this, but what was even more special of my winnings, and why I wanted to put it on here, the winning and the alpaca yarn, was because Leanne just got selected as her drawing just got selected as the Rhinebeck logo. When I was there, I voted for the logo because it was dear to me, the way she sketched it, and I just thought she had a brilliant piece of artwork. I returned from Rhinebeck in 2022. I had to let go of my cat Spencer. He was my first pet. Growing up, we were never allowed to have any kind of pet in the house, and I finally decided that I needed a cat, and I got Spencer, and he was with me for 14 years. He was my knitting companion. He was my shadow. He was my little furry baby. And I lost him, and I didn't know I was gonna miss a cat that much. But anyway, when Leanne found out, and she sent me the prize, she also sent me this, and it's so precious, and I just wanted to give the shout out here. So she sent me this hand drawn print of my Spencer in a blanket, and it just touched me. It was just such a unique gift to receive. While we all appreciate yarn, getting something that somebody has hand drawn for you is very special, especially if you can't even draw a stick figure. To get this, it was really special. So I have this close to me in my yarn room, or where I sit anyway, she sent me that, and I just wanted to show you because I'm also going to put in here what the winning logo is, and I feel very lucky to have in my possession a prototype of the sketch that actually she sent me that, and then it inspired her to create the logo with a sheep, which I'll put here what the logo is. And so anyway, thank you, Leanne, and thank you for being so real and for being someone that I now consider a friend. She's also the one that convinced me I should go get that kitty at the shelter. I ended up volunteering at the shelter for about 4 months after losing Spencer because I was missing him so much. And of course, fell in love with little Gary. That's his shelter name. I didn't give him that name. And it just got to the point that I couldn't leave him at the shelter any longer. And one morning I was chatting with Leanne on Messenger on Instagram, and she told me, go and get that kitty. I said, that's it. I said to the husband, okay, I gotta go get him. And yeah, I got him, and I haven't regretted it since. He's given me as much as Spencer did, and more, because he keeps me busy, and he has such a personality, and I can't say enough good things about the value of adopting from a shelter. So having spent some hours there volunteering, I highly encourage any of you that might have a local shelter nearby, consider making a donation, consider doing a little bit of volunteer time there, and consider adopting. Shelter pets are the most adoring and grateful, and you'll get the most unconditional love from them. So shout out to local shelters. Okay, so talked about Leanne, talked about the winnings, talked about Gary, and now we'll talk about the finished socks, the Hermione everyday socks. So I did finish them. and they worked up beautifully. So let's see. So the pattern is a bit of a textured pattern. And then, you know, the bottom is just net. I followed the pattern to a T with a rounded toe. I have to say it was my first time at doing a rounded toe. I tend to do the wedge toe on all my socks, but I'm really liking how that rounded toe looks, and I think that might be my go-to from now on. For my husband and my son, I still have to do the wedge toe because they have very long toes, but for me and for the person that this is going to be a gift for, the rounded toe will look up beautifully. So yeah, so they're beautiful, and as I said at the last podcast, it's a mystery yarn. I have no idea what it was because it was yarn from the donation center, and this is how much I've got left of the yarn, so I may end up putting it into another pair of shorties with some more minis. For now, it's gonna go into my little yarn bowl over here, my crystal yarn bowl with the minis. So I don't think there's anything else I can say about these socks except that I did use my 2.75 needle magic loop, and I did 60 rows and then to a size 7 foot. And I highly recommend this pattern. It's easy, very easy knitting. Okay, that's that one. All right, and okay. Now here goes the bloopers section, the mistake part. You guys ready for this? I did work on the Caramelo top, and I did finish one, and I did say that I tend to over guesstimate my size, and I did the same thing again with this one. It's a good thing this one was a practice one, which is why I tend to do 1, 2, sometimes 3 items, because I really should gauge swatch. I know those of you who gauge swatch are yelling at me. When I want to start a pattern, I don't want to spend time doing a gauge swatch. I just want to start, and then like I said, if it doesn't fit me, I'll give it to someone. So that's what happened with this one, of course, because the yarn is not the yarn that the pattern calls for, because the yarn is Rosarios 4 bio wool, and I didn't have that. I had was the Terra Tweed, which is similar, but the Terra Tweed and the loops and thread yarn from Michaels that I used for this top were different makeup. It just wasn't the same yarn. But anyway, it did feel like it was coming out super large. I was doing a large size, but it was still in the needle, so I couldn't really tell. But anyway, I did finish the Caramelo top. Okay, and it is super large. You can fit 2 of me in here. Well, maybe 1.5, not 2. So it did come out really, really big, and but it's so pretty. And so what I did was, so there's the hem, and I ended up doing I did a split hem of sorts with the back a little longer, and I'll explain why. So 2 things about this. So I said, I hope the cables were coming out right. Well, they were, sort of. I said I had switched the cable makeup from this, because it kept falling out, to this pretty doodad. Let me see if you can, okay, a little. Well, this pretty doodad obviously sidetracked me, because I forgot that the cables were supposed to be behind, not in front. When I switched to this one, I started to cable to the front instead of the back. So about the 3rd row down, my cables got swapped out. So instead of them going underneath, they all started to go on top. So I posted it on the Facebook page that the designer has for this project, and I said, there's something that's telling me that it's not coming out right, and somebody was very gracious to tell me that I had inverted the cables. And I looked at it, and I said, I'm not seeing it, I'm not seeing it. And then, there it is. That's what I did. This was the culprit. This cute little shawl pin was the culprit. I blame it all on this. Admiring it made me completely forget that the cables had to be to the back. But because I had so much of it done, I didn't bother going back. I just went with it. In the past, I would have taken it apart and I would have redone it. And I said, no, this was the practice piece. You're going to finish it. So I did. I finished it. But then, as I said, it was a little oversized. But I took it to work. I took it to work on Thursday. And I just, 3 or 4 of my staff who I used to seeing me always working on something, I said, listen, I have this piece. It's whoever likes it and whoever puts it on and it fits. And if you want it, let me know and it's yours. And I did. I had someone right away who said, I'll take it, it'll fit me. And she tried it on. It did fit her, completely fit her in the bust. The shoulders, it's perfect for her. But she's a bit taller than I am. So she needed a little bit more length. So I added a little bit more length to the hem. And then I also added some more in the back because she likes to have a little bit more towards the back. So this is going to be going to her. And I just held on to it so I could show it here. And if she lets me take a picture of her wearing it, I'll take a picture and I'll insert it here if she lets me take a picture. So yeah, a blooper, but it ended up coming out to be a nice project. So that's that. But with that being said, I haven't picked up the gray one because now I have a decision to make. I am getting gauge. I am getting gauge. God. I am getting gauge. I am getting gauge. See, the more I say it, the worse it's going to be. So I'm getting engaged with this one. And so I will continue with this one now that I finished. So hopefully this one will get finished by the next episode. So no progress on that one. So that's my adventure with a Caramelo top. So those are my 2 finished items for this episode. So let's talk about what I have as works in progress. I have made a bit of fair progress. I didn't get to finish it. I wasn't expecting to record the episode so soon after the last one, if I was going to do it, because I wasn't expecting the boys to be out today. And this was my plan for crocheting today. And I have the top, the Truboo top. Last time I showed you, I had the back all done. And I've started on the front. I've already got the shoulders done. And I have about halfway with the front here. So I should have this done by the end of this weekend. It's working out fast, but a couple of things. The project is great. The pattern is fantastic. Super easy to crochet. I got this pattern from a library book. I checked out a book at the library. And when I posted my project on Ravelry, I got a request to use my picture on the designer's page. I was kind of happy to say yes. The thing about this yarn, and while I understand why the designer used this yarn, because it does have some bamboo to it. And I have it because I don't even remember when I got this yarn. I know I bought it, and I don't know if it was because it caught my eye because of the color. I had never used it. This was my first time attempting to crochet with this yarn. One thing about this yarn, it's a 3-weight, which I should say, the last episode I kept saying size 3, size 4 yarn. No, not size, weight 3 yarn. It's the color Tangerine, and it is 100% rayon from Bamboo. So it gives it a beautiful drape. And so I can see why it was chosen for that top. The thing with it is that even though I am a very experienced crocheter, it is a very splitty yarn. It's very splitty, and so a lot of times you have to really be watching what you're doing, because the yarn will split, and every once in a while there'll be like a little thread that didn't get picked up in the stitch. So I'm not sure how well it will be with wear. I can't find one, but I've tried to capture the little piece that didn't get caught in the next round when I crochet, but it does take a little bit more attention to the crochet than I would like it to be. So I wouldn't recommend this yarn for this project. I definitely recommend the project, and I would do it without a doubt in another yarn, but I wouldn't recommend this yarn. It may be a better yarn to knit with, but for crocheting with a G hook, it can be a little bit exhausting on the hands to try to capture the stitch each time. That's about the only negative thing that I would say about it. So anyway, that's we'll see how it works out for the end to wear. So that's that one. So new cast on for me this past week. I couldn't resist. I had to join in on this knit along. I am a follower of Nancy of Knit Sip Happy. She's a sock designer, Nancy Wheeler, and she has some beautiful patterns. And recently she had a sale of 25% off on her socks, so I picked up a few more patterns. And I saw that she had this pattern, which is a DK sock pattern. I've never knit with DK. I've never made socks with DK. I should say I've knit with DK for shawls, but never for socks. And so she had this pattern, and then I had to give it a try. I was going through my stash because, you know, it's all in baskets, and I had to remember which basket. Is it basket by the end table? Is it basket by the dining room table? Is it the basket near the TV? And then I looked at the basket of where I have some of the yarn that I have found from the donation center, and right on top I found a caked DK weight yarn, and I said, perfect, they're perfect for the Nord socks. And that's what I decided to use. And this is the skein I had when I don't have the label in here now, but this is let me show you the sock first. So I found the skein of yarn in the basket, and I thought that's gonna be perfect for the socks. And I was right, it's working out beautifully. Here it is. I don't know if you can see the colors. It's a little bit of a cloudy day out there today. But here it is. I have it. There you go. It's more of a teal than it is of a green. But so there is the DK pair. I have it. You know, I've just finished the gusset, and now I just have to do the foot. And the pattern is beautiful. It's got this cable down the side, which you do without a cable needle. So I'm not gonna forget front, back. So it's got this cable, it's got, let me take it out of the blocker so you can see better. So it is, it's got the pattern on both sides, down the front, and the back has, just put this down because it's making noise, and it has another design feature down the back. It is a beautiful pattern, and the yarn is scrumptious. That's why I know I have DK yarn in my baskets, but you know, this is a rescued yarn. It's found its purpose here at my house. So I'm making the socks for my husband. My husband, he still works from home 4 days out of 5, and he wears his Crocs around the house, and he has been wearing his Christmas socks quite a bit. They're getting laundered a bit, and they're still in good shape because he only wears them around the house. So I thought I would give him these that he could wear with his Crocs. So the yarn, this is what the yarn looks like. Let's see if the color, so it was caked up already when I found it at the donation center. And I actually found 2 balls in a bag, and this is how I found them in the bag. They had the little piece of paper on the inside. And so I knew it had been caked up to be used, but I kind of like had a feeling it was hand-dyed yarn, but I wasn't sure. But that's how they were in the bag. And now that once I got it home, I took the little label out, and the yarn that I'm using is Gradient Explorers in the Lyra sock base, and it's Take It Slow February 2019 colorway. Both of these balls were the same. So either somebody didn't care to use the yarn, or I mean, I don't know how it ends up at the donation center, but I was happy to have I found this a few months ago, so this isn't a recent find, but I have the 2. So my plan is to make 1 pair in this color, and the son will probably get a pair in this color, because son number 2, he and dad, it's all about when is mom going to make me more socks. So this is, it's a little thicker sock in the yarn that I'm used to, so I'm hoping he's going to like it when he puts it on. And I should show you what this is, what the pattern is, what it looks like. And Nancy's patterns are amazing. They're so well written. You get them in chart and you get them in written directions, and very easy to follow. And I've been able to crank these out on my lunch breaks. Highly recommend you give her a watch. She's fun to watch, and she does, her livelihood is all about wine. She owns a wine store, so I've been making notations of some of her wine recommendations, since my husband is a bit of a yarn aficionado. He's a bit of a wine aficionado, so I've been giving him recommendations when Nancy talks about the wines. Anyway, so the Nord socks, that's a work in progress. So, all right, and what else I have in process? So I've got a basket full of things that I have ongoing. I'm going to show you 2 out of the 8 or 9 that I've got there, because I want to put these at the top of the list of things for me to work on once I finish these other ongoing projects. One of the things that I said is that I think every yarn has a purpose. Every yarn deserves a chance to be something, hence the donated yarn at the donation center. But also, when I have started a project, and if it's not going the way I'm enjoying it, sometimes it's because there's nothing wrong with the pattern. It's me and the color choice that I've made, and the decisions I've made in the yarn that I was going to use. And this is exactly what this project is. So I am working on a Litmus cowl. Just a simple in the round Litmus cowl. Nothing special. This is my second one that I'm doing, but this is repurposed yarn. I had initially using this yarn for the Sandy Cove shawl, and I'll put a picture here of how it was working out with the yarn that I chose. And I got, I don't know, maybe a quarter of the way up, and I just kept looking at it, and I kept thinking, this is not coming out the way I want it. And again, it was my fault for the colors that I chose, because the color that I chose for the main color was junk yarn. I got the label here. Was this yarn here. Geesh, that's a lot of gray, right? I have a lot of gray in my wardrobe, and I have a lot of gray yarn. This might have not been the best choice of outfit to wear to show the yarn, right? So this yarn here is junk yarn, Boss Sock, in the colorway, well, or is it Jeanette? Jeanette is the colorway, maybe? Yeah, Boss Sock colorway, Jeanette. I had picked this up at Skein Yarn Shop when she had an open house. Every time I go to Skein, I have to come away with some yarn. And it's got little flecks of teal and green and a little hint of beige in there. So I had started, this is the main color, and then I had all of these minis. The minis that I was using are from Crafthousemagic. She does these little mini bundles, mixtape minis, and I was using the mixtape minis from January 2022. I really enjoy getting her yarn and seeing what she's named it. But so yeah, I had her minis, and then when you order some of her yarn, she always sends you a little gift, a little 10 gram mini of samplings of her yarn. So I've been collecting these, and I'm like, I gotta put these towards a project. So this is what the size of the 20 gram mini is. This is what it looks like. And so her samples, sometimes in about 15 grams, sometimes 10 grams. So I had a bunch of these that I wanted to use up, and I thought they would work for that shawl, but it just was disappearing in the gray. So I frogged it. I frogged it, and I said, I need a project that I can just knit in the round, and it can be a zoom knit. And so I'm applying it into the Litmus cowl. It'll block out fine. I right now it's a little bumpy, but I'm just doing 15 rows of the color and 20 rows of the gray, 15 of the color, and then I'll make it, you know, until I'm finished with all the yarn. And what I did was, since I'm doing 20 rows here, I've got 10 on the provisional cast on, and then by the time I get back around, I'll just kitchen a stitch the other 10 rows of gray. And that's my Litmus. And I just want to put show this off here. This is my favorite stitch marker. It's a little donut. Dunkin' Donuts, maybe? This is the area for Dunkin' Donuts. My friend Sue made it for me and a couple of other my knitting friends, and gives it as, and I have all of the stitch markers she works for us right at the top of my little jar, and I just think it's the cutest little thing. Sue is so talented with this stuff. She's also a yarn dyer and a spinner and a weaver. Haven't gone down that rabbit hole yet. So anyway, I've got this in my Crafthousemagic project bag that I purchased from her a few years ago. I've been supporting Crafthousemagic for a while because she was the first podcast I started to watch. I had no idea what podcasts were. During the 2020 situation, I reached out to one of my library patrons who used to come to Knitting Club. And of course, because now Knitting Club wasn't going to happen, I knew that, you know, now she was not able to get together in a group to knit. So I had reached out to her to ask her, you know, how she was managing. And she said that she was fine. She was watching podcasts. And I said, what are podcasts? I had no idea. And so she's the one that led me down this rabbit hole, starting with Ellie of Crafthousemagic. She's in the UK in Norfolk. She sells her yarn, project bags, and a whole bunch of other things. So I have picked up a few of her things along the way over the last 4 years. All right, so that's that one. The other project that I started to work on and frogged was New England Fiber Festival this past fall. I had picked up some yarn that I absolutely fell in love with. I fell in love with a pattern that they showcased the yarn with. It was the Depth Cowl, and it was the Fiber Seed yarn, and it was absolutely gorgeous. And I have it in this bag here that I also picked up at Fiberfest. And it was done by, does she have her label in here? I don't see her label. I can't remember now who I got it from. Yeah, there's no tag. It was from one of the booths, but it's in here. So I fell in love with a yarn. It's fiber seed, and I picked up lavender and oak plus 2 other colorways that I've got in the baskets. So I picked up 3 of skeins of this yarn, and it's an absolutely gorgeous yarn. Let's see. It's got those purples. That's pretty true to the color. So I kicked it up, started the depth cowl, which I'll put a picture here of what the depth cowl looks like. And it is assigned pooling so that you have the solid colors and then the color, the variegated colors in the middle. And it started out all right. I had gauge and I started to work on it, but I found it too stressful to try to always line it up. I want to, sometimes when I'm knitting shawls and scarves, I want it to be just knit, simple knit, because sometimes for Zoom calls, sometimes if I'm just watching something on Netflix with my husband, I just don't want to have something that doesn't require a lot of my attention. Because if it requires my attention, then I'm not listening to what he's saying, and then he wants to know if am I listening to him? Or, you're tuning me out again? Did you hear anything that I just said? So I try to keep the projects that I work on when I'm at home with him to be those that are just, they're easy flow. So the depth cowl wasn't it. I was almost back to where it was when I first started to knit, which was like this, and it was like, are you really enjoying that? Because you're so stiff. And I just gave it up. I took it apart. I said, I had bought the pattern. I said, that's fine. It's not something I'm going to enjoy doing. It needs to go. So what I did, and I just decided to go the thoughtless route and work on a hitchhiker. So I did this. I don't know how I did it on a Zoom call. Zoom call ended, and there it is. I didn't even finish the row, and I had just started. So I'm using the yarn for a hitchhiker, which is fine. It's got beautiful squishiness. I love the yarn. I love the yarn. It's just for that pattern. It's a lot of people have been successful with it. It didn't work for me. The pattern just didn't work. The last piece I showed you, it was the color choice that didn't work for me. With this one, it's the pattern that didn't work for me. And so that's why I'm doing the hitchhiker. It is, it's a go-to pattern for me. I've made many as gifts, and I'm looking forward to it, because this one, because it has the purple in it, I am going to gift it to someone who absolutely loves purple. Anything that I make in purple, she has to have, and she's deserving it. It's my baby sister. She'll be getting it. My baby sister. She's the only sister I have. My sister. So anyway, that's the hitchhiker. Again, it's on my project page on Ravelry, and it'll be linked below. Next piece that I'm going to talk about is I'm going to call it my, well, I should say, since I told you I'm a librarian and there may be a lot of library talk on here, my format for this vlogcast is going to have a lot of librarianese in it. So we'll talk about new to the collection, which we did, which is the projects at the beginning. We'll talk about what's in processing, which is the works in progress. We will talk about items from the archives. This is from the archives, acquired a year ago. And we will talk about items that are to be cataloged, which are the items that are coming into the house and literally have to be cataloged, because I'm trying to be really good at taking photos, putting up on Ravelry under my stash, and putting a descriptor onto which basket I have it in, because the last episode I was talking about how I hope the boys look at what's in the baskets, and they this fear that I have that my things will be donated without somebody understanding what they are, and that they might end up at the Goodwill or the donation center. So last 2 Sundays ago, actually the Sunday after I recorded, I went to do a presentation at a local church. I went to talk about the current situations with public libraries, and on the way home, I decided to make a quick pit stop at the donation center, just out of curiosity to see if anything was there, on the off chance there would be. And I was gobsmacked. I couldn't believe what I came across, and it just spoke exactly to what I had mentioned in the podcast about a donation being made with somebody not understanding what the value of the item was. So I ended up finding quite a bit of yarn, and because it was quite a bit of yarn, I also had to buy the basket to put the yarn in, or the little box to put the yarn in. So here's my latest find. Oh, donation center box, donation center yarn finds. So I couldn't get over it. Farmer's Daughter Fibers in Pishkin yarn. Everyday set. They don't have, is there a colorway? It doesn't have a colorway, just a number, but beautiful, beautiful worsted weight yarn. And then not one, not two, 3 sock sets. Again, Farmer's Daughter Fibers. Just absolutely gorgeous. This one is the June Sock Squad, and it's a greeny, again, the color today is going to be a little off. The sun had tried to come out, and then it just went away again. This one is the August sock set. And this one is the July sock set. I just love those colors. And they came in a bag. I mean, they were, one bag had these two, one bag had these, and this bag, because at the center they just pulled the yarn together. They don't exactly match it up. They just want to, and it had this also 2 skeins, this came like this, 2 skeins of this sock yarn, which is Exmoor sock. It's the writing on it, the color is very faint, but I just noticed something. It's giving me pause. Sometimes the universe sends you signs, doesn't it? So this, I don't know if you're gonna be able to see that, but this yarn is from Linton, Devon. So it's got to be Devon in the UK. My older son's name is Devon. It's been a dream of mine for a long time to visit the UK, and I always dreamed of going to visit Devon, which I already have, but he's Devon with an O. Hadn't noticed that. I'm sorry for shaking you, but I hadn't noticed that until now. But yeah, and there was also some remix yarn, which I've used for some tops. But yeah, they come, so the way they come in these bags, plastic bags. Oh yeah, I almost forgot. There's another one here on the bottom of the box. There was also opal yarn, the Van Gogh colorway, which is going to be a pair of socks for my husband because we did go see the traveling exhibit at Van Gogh. That'll be him. But they come in these bags like this, in these plastic bags with a price tag on it. So for that, all that yarn, about $80 worth of yarn, I got it for $20. And again, I know someone besides me would have found it, and I hope someone would have appreciated it as much as I am. But there's also people that will buy yarn for crafts and to cut up these beautiful skeins into crafts would have been a sad moment for me. But anyway, yeah, I'm still on my yarn diet. I haven't bought any yarn online or in a shop since last year. Maybe November, December was my last yarn purchase. But I am finding these, and they just have to come home with me because, I mean, they just gotta join the 100 or so other skeins of yarn that I already have throughout the house. So that's, I think, about everything. I think now I've got you a little bit crooked because of moving it, and seems to be getting, the lighting seems to be a little worse now. Try this, if I just move you over here now. Thank you. No, it didn't get any better, did it? Thank you for joining me on this second episode. And there goes, that happened the last time. I'm talking and my husband's iPad does the beep beep. Anyway, so thank you for joining me. Eu decidi fazer este mini-sode, este episódio pequeno, e pôr aqui no fim do podcast em inglês, porque recebi tanto apoio de pessoas portuguesas e decidi que não devia ter este receio de falar um pouco em português, mas vou incluir aqui no fim porque é coisa que é mais de interesse para as pessoas que estão-me a apoiar, as portuguesas que estão-me a encontrar no YouTube e têm mandado as mensagens, e queria falar um pouco sobre a minha história aqui para explicar como é que estou aqui em Massachusetts e qual é a minha qualidade de português e talvez algum dia tenha confiança para fazer um episódio completo em português. Mas por agora, eu vim aqui para os Estados Unidos quando eu tinha 9 anos de idade. Viemos viver numa área onde muitos portugueses de Portugal continental, dos Açores, da Madeira, de Cabo Verde, muitos dos meus colegas na escola vinham de todas as partes de Portugal. E chegámos em abril, 2 meses antes de completar a terceira classe. O meu português é o português da terceira classe. O português não é assim um português académico, é um português mais de vida. Os meus pais nunca aprenderem a falar o inglês, meus sogros também nunca aprenderem a falar o inglês. E como eu disse, muitos dos meus colegas têm a mesma história, tivemos a mesma experiência de escola. Eu ia começar a dizer que eu sou de São Miguel, sou micalense. Nasci na cidade da Ribeira Grande e conheci o meu marido também na escola secundária. Ele também tem a mesma história como eu, os pais deles vieram de São Miguel em 1974, mas eles vieram em outubro, nós viemos em abril e nós conhecemos foi aqui na escola. Foi uma coisa que tenho tido uma parte da minha vida que eu sinto muito feliz, que eu tenho um parceiro, um marido, um amigo que tenha completa história como a minha. Por isso nós quando falamos aqui em casa a gente diz é metade micalense, metade o que aprendemos na escola, é metade inglês, temos a nossa shorthand de falar, né? E Por isso, por causa das nossas amizades e na nossa área onde moramos, muitas vezes pessoas perguntam, tens um sotaque micalense, mas não é bem assim, micalense, de qual parte dos Açores são vocês? Mas então, é isto é a minha moda de falar agora, não é? Mas eu quero dizer que já estamos cá há 50 anos, o português para mim, já me sinto um pouco... não tenho aquela confiança de fazer muita conversa em português, assim, com pessoas que eu não conheço, né? Mas tenho tido sorte de viver aqui nesta área e tenho, por causa do meu trabalho, estou sempre no meio da comunidade portuguesa, tenho mais de confiança com o meu português. Mas vamos ver como é que isto vai dar para a frente. Agora tenho começado a ver os podcasts em português, porque é esta coisa de querer aprender mais. Aqui temos o rádio em português, temos jornais em português, temos televisão, temos o RTP, temos um canal local também, que mostra mais telenovelas brasileiras, mas que sempre assisti para ficar sempre com a língua em prática. E agora com os podcasts em português, estou a ver se aprende mais as palavras sobre o tricô e malha em português, porque, como eu disse no primeiro episódio, minha mãe quando dizia que tinha feito muita malha, nunca deve perceber que ela quando dizia malha, era mesmo que ela que tinha feito com as mãos delas e não foi uma malha de um mexinho que ela tinha comprado na loja. Mas por enquanto é isto. Este ano vamos estar em São Miguel para passar umas 2 semanas, mas antes de ir a São Miguel eu já tenho as passagens marcadas para ir ao continente. Eu quero ir ao Porto, uma coisa que eu sempre sonhei de fazer, e visitar a biblioteca no Porto. E o meu marido sempre teve esta coisa de querer ir a conhecer o Rio Douro e ver as vinhas. Ele adora vinhos e sempre quis fazer isto. E então eu decidi que posso combinar o desejo dele de ir acerca dos vinhos e eu vou acerca da biblioteca, né? E também combinei com ele para nós irmos quando ele faz o seu aniversário de anos, e como prenda para ele, vamos lá ao Porto, e como prenda para mim, vai ser o fim de semana do Knitting with Friends. Eu já estou a contar os dias, porque eu quero, aqui nesta área não há os fios de Portugal, assim com tanto, não é fácil, né? Tenho que mandar vir de Portugal. E como eu disse no meu primeiro episódio, eu vou levar uma mala com um pouquinho de roupa, que é para quando vier para trás, vai vir com... quero ver se encontra fios da fazenda, quero também trazer fio de pontinhos ao vento, quero apanhar mais Rosarios 4, a lã vovó, e vamos ver quanto eu consigo trazer nesta mala, mas vamos ver, é um sonho, né? Então, eu penso que já falei em tudo que eu tinha a dizer, só quero agradecer. O que me falta dizer é, quero agradecer a todas que deixarem um comentário. Como eu disse no primeiro episódio, eu fiz porque eu queria tentar, né? É um desafio para mim. Estou sempre à procura de uma maneira para aprender uma coisa nova. E é isto que eu fiz aqui. Não sei como, mas eu gravei no dia 6 de fevereiro e só pus o vídeo public no dia 14 de fevereiro. E do dia 14 até ontem, não sei como, mas já tenho mais de 100 pessoas a assistir ao canal. Pensava que esses são os meus 3 filhos, os meus 2 filhos, o meu marido e talvez uma colega ou 2, mas eu já sei que os meus olhos estão por todos os lados, porque eu estou um bocadinho envergonhada. Desculpa se não consigo explicar as coisas bem, mas eu penso que esse pouco aqui dá para conhecer-me mais um bocadinho E vamos ver o que é que vai dar. Muito obrigada por terem assistido e agradeço o apoio e as mensagens e as amizades novas que eu estou a encontrar através desse podcast, porque uma coisa que eu tenho sempre, esta fascinação é, sendo luso-americana, onde a diáspora portuguesa está espalhada por todo o mundo e tem sempre essa curiosidade de onde estamos todos, né? E por isso este aqui é o meu pouquinho. Eu estou aqui em Massachusetts, a cerca de 1 hora a sul de Boston, e por já agradeço e até à próxima.